Thank you for listening to Scandinavian Crimes Podcast. Be sure to check out the episode links and be part of our other social media platforms where you can leave a topic suggestion or even share some of your insights regarding the subject matter of the episode. We will always do our best to provide a well-researched episode, but sometimes due to limited access to information and translation issues, some information can be lost. It is therefore good to do your own research and get a deeper understanding of a case of your own interest. So with that all said, let us start today's episode.
Welcome to another episode of Scandinavian Crimes. My name is Devante, and say hello to my lovely co-host, Delila.
Hi.
And on this podcast, we cover famous Scandinavian criminals who made their mark throughout Scandinavian history. So last episode, I forgot to say Happy New Year's, so happy belated New Year's, I guess. But this is not going to be a regular episode. As you know, this is going to be an update episode. For those of you who are new, or maybe you're just watching or listening to this episode for the first time, basically these episodes are updates based on previous cases we may have covered when there's new information about the case or there's updates in the case, because the whole point of the podcast is to keep you updated and make sure you're in the loop about a lot of these cases that take place throughout, random times of, our lifetimes. So this case has to do with the terrorist Anders Behring Breivik. For those of you who don't know, or maybe you didn't listen to the previous episode, I think you should listen to that probably before you listen to this one. But just to give you the Cliff Notes version of the whole situation, basically this man is in prison because he himself had killed 77 people in a bombing and shooting rampage in Norway in 2011. He actually severely injured a lot of people, way more than I think. How much was it, Delila? Like 120 something people were injured. A good chunk of them severely, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of people who were injured, but there were like 77 people who got murdered or killed.
Yeah, he killed them outright, which is that's a huge.
I think it was 300 people
who were injured and killed, and 77 of them were like the ones who were,
or over 300.
Yeah. So this update involves him. Now, he was a far-right extremist in Norway, so he would kill people he believed didn't look like the, ideal right-wing image in his head. So he was killing people who were immigrants. He was killing people who didn't have the blonde hair, blue eye kind of, look to themselves.
Or who were left, politically, were left.
Yeah. He would kill people if they looked like they were politically left. That's also true, right? So the update regarding him is very interesting, and I know there's a lot of people talking about it, and also we have some opinions about it. But so I'm going to read this article. The current article that I'm reading is from CNN, and I'm going to post it in our link tree so you can, read it for yourself. But also, because this happened recently from this episode, I think it's only been a week since we're recording, and since it's going to be released, it'll still be pretty much talked about. But I'm going to read the article and just a small fraction of it, a small chunk, and then we'll kind of talk about the situation and just give our opinions, and you guys can do the same as well. So here we go. So Anders Behring Breivik, the far-right fanatic who killed 77 people in a bombing and shooting rampage in Norway in 2011, appeared in a court setup in his prison on Monday to launch a legal bid to end his years in isolation. Wearing a black suit, white shirt, and brown tie, Breivik said nothing and made no gesture as he entered the hearing set up in the gym of the high-security jail 70 kilometers, 4 miles northwest of the capital Oslo. The 44-year-old sat impassively while the lawyer laid out his argument, and the conditions of his detention violated his human rights. He has been isolated for 12 years, the lawyer said, and told the hearing he is only in contact with professionals and not other inmates. In earlier court filings, Storvik had argued the isolation had left Breivik suicidal and dependent on antidepressant medication, Prozac. Breivik, who emailed out copies of the manifesto before his attack, setting his theories, is suing the state and also asking a court to lift the restrictions on his correspondence with the outside world. He killed 8 people with a car bombing in Oslo, then gunned down 69 others. So there goes some details about how he did what he did. Most of them teenagers at the Labour Party youth camp in Norway's worst peacetime atrocity. His case has been a grim test for a country that is still shaken to its core by the horror of his acts, but has also long taken pride in the rehabilitation efforts of its justice system. So, like I said, the article has a whole bunch more that you can read, but I read this chunk in particular because it's regarding him trying to get out of isolation in prison and kind of interact with other inmates. So I don't know if you want to start the chat, Delila, or I can kind of start it and,
I would also like to add a couple things. The article just mentioned this as well. But also for those who do not know how the prison system works in Norway or in Scandinavian in general, the cells are very, I would say pretty homey. It has, even though the walls are pretty white, they do have a place like a library. They do have a very comfortable, like they do have TV or games and like an area of where they all the inmates can communicate and like just do activities, and they also have opportunity to like do a bunch of different things and activities, and there's more freedom of like them being able to walk and go around the prison compared to America, where it's like very strict in a way. So in this case, Breivik is a special case because obviously of his past and the crime and terrorism that he has committed, which led to him being isolated or put in a separate cell compared to the other inmates. So he has a separate cell where he only obviously will see other police or prison officers, but they have given him like his own like things like activities of sorts of like reading or games and TV, even 3 what's the bird's name?
Was it parrots? Yeah, parrots.
Yeah, like 3 parrots, so that he can, because studies have shown that animals are very good, to social, animals are very good to have for those, obviously for anybody. So he has those, and I think that's important to know, like how he's living in the cell. But he does not have any type of communication at all with the other inmates in any way. But he is living quite okay and nice. It's not that they don't care about him. It's not that he's like having a little small cell, white walls, and barely a bed and just is there. He has actually other activities and other things they can do.
I will also say as well that, well, not say as well, but Delila kind of explained how the living situation is. But so the controversy when it comes to this particular case, most people seem to think he's complaining, which, if I'm being completely honest, I agree. He's complaining. But his argument is like, oh, they're violating my human rights. I can't talk with other people. And what I guess he doesn't realize, and with most other countries, is that when you are a terrorist, which he's an absolute terrorist. His goal was to create terror, mass terror. Basically, you're a national threat to the country, whether it be the US, whether it be Norway, whether it's Sweden, any country, you're a threat. So naturally, you're not treated the same compared to someone who committed crime, let's say, versus out of necessity. Someone who may have stolen money, or even if you did kill someone, versus killing someone out of passion or, premeditated murder over something petty. Your goal wasn't to create mass, hysteria, mass terror, or kill massive groups of people. It was very targeted. And the fact that he himself was trying to kill as many people as he could before he get arrested, he's a threat. And to be honest, like, I'm not saying, America is the greatest when it comes to our criminal justice system, because it's not. But the fact that he even has an opinion and the ability to come to court and even make this argument, I'm lonely. I mean, who, like, this is, like I said, my opinion, who kind of cares, like, you know, a little bit, because it's like you killed 77 people, injured hundreds of people for what? Now, how many people are probably lonely because of the people you've killed, but you're still alive, you're living off of Norway's, you know, tax-paying dollars, but your goal was to kill as many, and most of those people who were killed were citizens. They were citizens. No matter how they look, they were supposed to be where they were, and he still killed them anyway. And then he's in court saying like, oh, you know, I feel lonely. Like, do you not hear how that sounds after what you've done? And even if you've read some more of the other articles as well, he's a threat because there's people trying to contact him because he's inspiring more right-wing people to kind of act like this. What was it? There was a church shooting in New Zealand, a mosque shooting in New Zealand.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people who were inspired by him and, you know, copycat crimes afterwards. And also, like, he did inspire, as you said, a lot of people. And that's why I understand why they don't want him to have contact with anybody. And he also said that he would like to have, you know, Tinder or have like somebody to like send a postcard to, or like a postal friend, and like, you know, as you say, I actually I don't think that's a good idea, mainly because of the severity, as you say, because the type of crime he committed was terrorism. And if he would try to have communication or talk with somebody, he could manipulate them into committing or continuing his crimes and stuff like that. So I do understand the severity, but some part of me also believe like being isolated like that is not really helping him to like be better, because the point of the system, of prison system, isn't it not to like actually prevent them from like, you know, doing what's it called, reenacting the crime again, or also be able to like heal and be better? Because I feel like because of what his crimes that he committed, they kind of just like, okay, you are a threat, you will never see the sunlight again, and they just put him in jail because he was such a huge threat. And I feel like they just in this case, it might be good to just put him there because of the safety of Norway and other people, or the world. You know, we don't know, you know, how far he can go.
Because there's people who actively like they were executing, like you said, copycats. There are people who saw what he did in 2011, and then just a few short years after that were doing what he did to like I said, the mosque shooting in New Zealand, and I forgot the guy's name, Brenton, I forgot his last name, but that whole mosque shooting that happened in 2015 it was out of control. It was literally, he said he was inspired by Breivik. Yeah. So in situations like this, yes, he's a threat. Communication with someone like that is a threat, because you'll encourage other people to do that. And then what's going to happen then? You don't know who they're going to target. Especially Breivik was in an area where there was a lot of concentrated population, politicians, people. So he's a national threat. So truthfully, the fact that he has the ability...
if it would have been any other type of crime he committed, you know, obviously he'd been trying to get parole and, you know, have a chance to get out of prison multiple times. And this is probably a way for him to have some type of like, you know, outside experience.
But to me,
you know,
it sounds like he
will
hasn't
never
learned
get
his
parole.
lesson.
Huh?
To me, it sounds like he never learned his lesson. How do you kill that many people, but then your first instinct, I want parole, I want to get out?
Yeah, like the parole, and also like you know, I feel lonely, me, but the point is not about you. It's about like, you know, what you did, and you have to like, I don't know, like, it's as you say, I feel like if he would have committed some other type of crime where it was not terrorism, I think it was valid to not be isolated.
Right.
Isolation is only, in my opinion, I think it's justified, obviously, for terrorism, because, you know, that can kind of spread and stuff. But, you know, I guess it depends on what type of severity of the crime. I think, obviously, I don't think he should have any type of contact. Maybe he need a therapist. Oh, wow, I said that weird. But therapist. I think a therapist would... Yeah, you know, I fucked up. You know, that happens. I think that might help out to sort out things. Try to, like, heal his mind. But, you know... And also for everybody, I'm not going to be like... I'm not a supporter of him. I'm just trying to be like the devil's advocate thing, trying to have a good conversation, discussion. But, you know, isolation is a, you know, there's studies that have shown that it can give severe, you know, consequences. And so I can understand that, like, obviously they will try to, you know, sue the state because of it. But based on what he has done, I don't think it's like, you know,
it shouldn't go anywhere. And it seems like from what I've seen online, most people are in agreement of that.
Then everybody's like, I don't care. Look what you did, you know, obviously. So.
Yeah. So, I don't want to.
And the Tinder part is wild.
Yeah. I'm like
who would,
like
who
I said,
would
it's
even match with like,
I said, Anders Breivik, he killed someone.
Yeah.
I want to match with him.
What would he even put on his profile?
Him.
I'm in isolation. I'm in jail. I'm in prison. I'm the famous terrorist. Like, I don't know.
Just think about it. Like, do you know, like, how entitled do you have to be to think after everything you've done, not even just the isolation part, that you deserve to be able to access Tinder just so you can be romantically involved with someone or release whatever physical tension you have after everything you've done?
He thinks he can have a life after what he did, and I don't think you realize that, like, nobody is on his side, you know.
I pretty much said what, like, for the most part, everything. I said, just, you can just tell, like, there's no sense of, you know, like, oh, I made a mistake.
His mind is very interesting.
Yeah, he's very much still into himself and what he believes and all about him.
What was their like psychological evaluations? I can't remember if they did any. Did they end up with him being like he's aware of what he's doing?
Yeah, he was competent to stand trial, which is why he's in the situation that he's in now. So, but
he had something. Like, was it a personality disorder? What was it?
It might have been a personality disorder. I don't remember off the top of my head for some reason.
I remember, like, vaguely it was something with like personality disorder, but he was very well aware of what he was doing. Like, it was not because of his, like, personality disorder, if I remember correctly, but I don't know.
I mean, like I said, I'm pretty confident he had a personality disorder. I just don't remember what the personality disorder was or what his diagnosis was completely off the top of my head. But, you know, the beauty of technology, let's see if we can look it up, you know, just really quickly, you know, just so that way we can. Because
I remember, you know, it was a lot. We like, the script was very long, and it was we tried to be as detailed as possible on just that specific episode. Obviously, because it was a huge, you know, there's a lot of information about that case, you know.
Yeah, because there was a whole part where we did the planning process that he had, his manifesto.
Yeah, the planning process, yeah. the like funding, everything.
So let's see. They searched through his online history, his psychic evaluation. He went through an examination in 2011 by a court-appointed forensic psychiatrist. They diagnosed him with, paranoid schizophrenia, stating that he had developed a disorder.
Yeah, I remember that.
He developed a disorder over time and was psychotic during the attacks and the observation period. So basically, they're trying to say he was experiencing that, and also he had a substance abuse issue, and that he was, at least they were trying to argue that he was criminally insane, even though...
Yeah, they tried to, but like when the psychiatrist, they found out that no, he's very understanding of what he's doing. He planned for like 9 years.
Yeah, it wasn't like a spur of the moment thing. The fact that he had a manifesto and planned it over the course of years meant that he was very coherent about what he was going to do. And yeah, so basically, yeah, that's what they try to argue in court, that he was not aware.
Okay, so it wasn't a personality disorder.
Yeah, it was full-blown schizophrenia, but schizophrenia is different for everybody.
Schizophrenia, he was worried. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so... I
mean, that makes sense too, but still.
Yeah, and I know isolation can make schizophrenia worse, but he's a threat. You know, like, that's a no-go.
Yeah, there's no way for him to get out.
Well, I'll see.
But I think that the lawyer, and also he is very smart with using the isolation as a type of like
tactic
reason, because it's some truth in it as well. But I think it was a smart move. But he's been trying to get parole. He's been trying to get out for like years. He's like, oh, it's been years now. Like, get over it. It's like everyone's like, no. It's like, no, you're not gonna get over it.
Yeah, so just once again, exact numbers. 77 victims were killed. 209 were injured. That's a couple hundred people injured.
Okay, so it was 209. Killed. Okay, yeah. So it was over 200.
Over 200 people were hurt. And then he was targeting government facilities, civilians, and workers at the Youth League summer camp. So he had a wide range. Because remember, he put on a police vest, blended in,
he
went
was
to a different location. Police
peeps.
Yeah, so there's no way his schizophrenia was that crazy. He was coherent. Now that I'm like reading more, like going back to the case, yeah, it was crazy. He
planned this. He did everything on, like, he knew what he was doing. I was just like, I wasn't sure if he had like what type of evaluation they did. Cause like, I'm like, who in their right mind be like, I want Tinder? And I'm like, but like, why?
Because
like, I can't even fathom. Like, I'm like,
why.
How?
Because he's a man and has desires, and he feels like he deserves to
but
have
I don't
those
think it's about
fulfilled.
desires. I think it's just he wants to talk with somebody, and I feel like he might like manipulate them into something.
See, me personally,
because people who are searching for love are the most could be easily manipulated as well.
True, but Tinder, at least historically, everyone who's like millennial and below, we know like Tinder's primarily for hookups.
Yeah, but maybe he doesn't know that.
Tinder was around.
Okay, come on. Like, I don't know if he had access to internet. I don't think he has access to internet.
But I think when he went to jail, I think Tinder
he has
was
access to like TV, and he's like, "Oh, Tinder is a dating app." You know, commercials and stuff like that.
I think Tinder was around when he went to jail. If I remember correctly,
that happened 2011.
It says in September 2012, Tinder had a soft launch in the App Store.
When was it?
2012. So he was on trial in 2012 still.
Yeah, and the beginning of Tinder was not about hookup in the beginning. It was actually a dating site.
Sure, but most dating sites are about hookups.
But it kind of quickly ended up being a hookup thing.
But that's usually most dating apps, to be honest. Tinder, OkCupid.
No, there are more serious dating apps though than Tinder.
Christian Mingle.
Oh my God. Okay, why are we talking about this?
Well, the point is, I personally just think he was on Tinder because he wants a little fun time to release.
I think he's doing some manipulation thing that he wants, like, I don't know.
I'm just going based off the article because they specified him wanting to talk. There's no way
he can like even date. Like, how are they gonna date? Hey, you just like...
He wants conjugal visits. He wants to get with someone to marry them so he can get conjugal visits.
But he can't have sex with anybody.
I'm not saying that's true.
They don't have that for people who are isolated.
I agree with you, but I feel like that's why he's trying to argue to get out of it, because he wants that. Because they specify the difference between him wanting to talk to other inmates to make friends versus him wanting to download Tinder. Those are two different types of. If he just wanted a friendship,
They're
he would just
completely
argue.
different, yeah.
He would just argue that, I just want to be in Gen Pop. I just want to make other friends.
I mean, you can still have sex with inmates, though.
Right, but that's my argument. So they specified that he wanted friends with other inmates, and he wanted Tinder. So he wants friends and he wants a relationship.
I thought it was like that or the other.
He wanted both.
Understood it as he wanted to just talk with somebody.
He wanted both. So he wants to make friends.
He's greedy then.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Yeah. So
he's like demanding things. No. That's not how it's gonna go.
He's like, I'm isolated. I think I deserve, to have Tinder and all that stuff. And yeah, he's pretty much gone.
Yeah.
So, but either way, I think we've been recording for a little while, I think.
Yeah. Currently also, this is the judges or the trial or nothing has really happened yet, but as soon as we get the result of that, we will also make another update episode of that. And also we probably gonna get more information of how the trial went, and we can make like an update video of that update episode of that as well.
Yep. We'll try to do more update episodes as we get into more recent cases, because updates tend to come out about things that happened in 2010s to 2020s, so we'll do more update episodes as they come along, but especially if you guys enjoy it. But this was just a little update so that way you can see that some of these cases are still affecting us today in current history. And our goal on this podcast is not only to bring awareness, not only to help people see these scenarios and avoid them, but also to just bring this information to you so that way we can avoid it and not repeat history, not repeat the same mistakes. So let's end the podcast on a good note once again. Let's try and be adventurous. Let's do something we've never done. In terms of food, let's really try and nail this home with this good vibes. So say something that you've never
I want
done.
A Krabby Patty. That's very
Krabby Patty's a candy in real life, but I was referring to real life.
Oh, you mean
though.
like in real life? Okay,
yes.
I thought it was
don't act brand
out
new.
of the box. Like, come on, like something completely different. Like, I'm like, okay, well, Krabby Patty. That's I wanted to try that. But I guess you mean in real life. I don't know.
Yes.
Out of the box thing.
Think hard.
A double waffle with spinach and shrooms with some cheese in it.
Okay, that's good.
But that's not really like anything like, but I guess people don't really eat that often like that. I don't know.
Okay, that's okay. I think I'm going to go with so I saw something on Instagram, where they had this, I forgot what cut of pork it was, but it was similar to the cut that's where you get bacon from, but it's
pork
the full
belly, pork chops.
It might have been pork belly. But they took some Spanish rice, arroz con pollo, right? And then they they cooked the rice the way that you do, and then they stuffed it into the pork, right? Seasoned the pork, and then they baked it in the oven, and the top of the skin was crunchy, but the inside was juicy. And the rice was,
Sounds delicious.
It was heaven. I'm gonna send you that video. So that's what I'm gonna go with. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and feel free to leave comments and kind of reach out about today's episode. Let me know how you feel about it and this whole Breivik situation. Also, be sure to go into your podcasting platforms if you enjoy the episodes, and leave us a nice little friendly review. It lets the podcast platform know that we are very loved and appreciated. And yeah. I hope you guys stay safe. I hope you guys, just pay attention. And like I say, every single episode in the last one's like, you say this all the time. Fight for your life. If you're ever in that situation, which I pray you're not.
You say it all the time. Oh God, you say it so many times. Oh.
Yeah, just if you're ever in a situation, fight for your life, protect yourself, protect your family, live to see another day. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.
Bye.